I have literally lived all over the state of Iowa, from western to central to eastern and northern Iowa, and I know every nook and cranny of this state. But today, I am going to give you a no BS, honest review of what it's like to live here, and I want to tell you the truth because I know it's not perfect, but I also know there's a lot of really good things about living here in the state. So you want to stick around for this honest review because I am a local through and through, and I know all of this state, every nook and cranny. Now, I don't know if you're anything like me, but whenever you go order something on Amazon and look at reviews, I'm typically going to the middle reviews down to the negative reviews first, just to try to suss out what is the bad things about whatever this product is. So why not do the same fashion here and talk about the negative right up front? First negative on my list, and it really depends on who you are on this one, and that is the weather. Now, I personally like winters here. We're getting into the winter season right now. It's getting cold. We're about ready to get snow. In fact, today is going to be our first snowfall as I'm making this video itself, and I am ready, but I know a lot of people are not. They do not like the harsh winters. A lot of locals even move south for the winter. They call them snowbirds. They have a vacation home down in the sand states like Arizona, New Mexico. Texas is a new one that a lot of people like to go to. So not even the locals like to stick around for the Iowa winters, and I totally get it. I personally run warm, and I like the winters. I don't love the winters, but I like the winters when it compares to the summers, because I cannot stand the heat and the humidity that we get here in Iowa, and I get it. If you don't like winter, it can be long, it can be dark, it can be cold. I totally understand, but just expect that if you're moving here, that you're gonna get all of that, all bundled up. In fact, you're gonna be bundled up when you get here because it is gonna be cold, and just be ready for that. I get so many people that are moving to Iowa and they're like, I want to do a homestead, I want a hobby farm, I really want to be out in the middle of nowhere. But the thing about that is some people don't realize how isolating that actually can be. I know it. I grew up in a small town that's not even rural, and it can still feel isolated. You're stuck on this little island with nothing else around you. And the harsh reality of getting out there is that you do feel isolated. You don't have a lot of things to do unless you're making it up yourself on whatever property you purchase. And you can feel pretty lonely. And it kind of goes back to the winter. In the middle of winter, and you're out there by yourself, snowed in, can't get into town, you may feel very isolated. And to be honest, some people's goals is to have that isolation, to be away from people. But for others, they like the idea of it, owning their own chickens, getting their own goats. They see it on Instagram, it looks so fun, and some of it is actually pretty fun. But when you're living that life day to day, it can also be a hard life to live. So moving here, and you like the idea of that, you've seen it on Instagram, maybe there should be an intermittent step in between getting the city life into the rural life, because it may not be everything that you think it is. Along those same lines, I can speak from experience because I told you I grew up in a small town, but my grandparents, they lived out in western Nebraska, which is even more isolated. I lived out there during the summers. I got to work on the farm, help out with the cattle, fix fences, throw hay, all of that stuff. But out there, they are literally 30 minutes from the nearest town, and that town is only about 200 people. They're about 50 minutes to an hour away from the nearest Walmart. So that's an extreme example of being isolated, but it just goes to show that even in a small town in Iowa, there's places that can be even more isolated than Iowa. But if you're not used to one, well, it's gonna be a big shock to you when you move here. Now, even if you move here and you're not gonna do the whole homesteading, the rural, all of that, even our cities may be a shock to you, depending on where you're coming from. Because we have great cities, don't get me wrong. We have places like Davenport, we have places like Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, and they're all great in their own right. But when you're comparing to the amenities that are available in a bigger city, you're gonna be a little bit isolated. For example, we don't have an IKEA that I know about in any of those cities. I know that's a staple inside of these big cities. You go down, get your furniture, grab it real quick, and take it home. We don't have that. Do we have other furniture stores? Yeah, we do, but we don't have everything. In fact, a lot of times when a new fast food restaurant, like here in Bettendorf, we got a Five Guys. That was a huge deal. Everybody celebrated, it was on the news, such a big deal. But in a big city, a new Five Guys opens, probably not that big a deal. So even if you're moving here and it's not the rural homesteading, even our cities may be a little bit less in the amenities that you get, but maybe that's what you want. I don't really know. Now, whether you're moving to the Quad Cities, Des Moines, anywhere, you're gonna wanna give me a call. I am the one that helps people move here all the time. I help answer questions. I help people decide where the best place is for them to live. And I even connect them with some great people all over the state if you're not moving to the Quad Cities, because I'm a licensed realtor, and because of this channel, I have made great connections all over here. So if you need some help moving to the state of Iowa, give me a call. My number is popping up down below, and we will answer any questions that you might have. All right, so this is this is a review. And I told you we're gonna start out with the worst in the middle reviews, because that's how I like to do it on Amazon. But let's go ahead and look at maybe some of the 5-star reviews, the good things about Iowa. And start off with, one of the main reasons people like to make the move here is the affordability of the state. We are ranked nationally below average on a lot of those affordability metrics, from housing to groceries to utilities to basically anything you can possibly think of. We're usually ranked pretty good on that. And a lot of people really want that, especially in today's environment where prices are so high, inflation is going rampant. It's just something that is a nice relief that you can possibly buy a house. I bought my house when I was 24 years old, fresh out of college, and I'm not saying this to brag, but living here in the state of Iowa, it gave me the opportunity to do that and build some wealth for me and my family coming forward. So it's a possibility of getting here and just having your dollar go further. So it's a good thing that Iowa has going on. And if you're moving here and you want that, well, good opportunity awaits you. And if you're moving here, the strong communities is another big draw. Everywhere I've lived in the state, every place that I go to, it is a strong community. You have local parades, you have neighbors helping neighbors. In fact, growing up, my neighbors had a key to our house. If they ever needed to get something like a cup of sugar, they were invited to come on in and get it, knock on the door, whatever they needed to do, they were welcome to do it. We left our cars unlocked, and that has pretty much stayed pretty much the same anywhere that I've gone. Now you get into a larger city, some of the rules change a little bit, but overall, you're gonna know your neighbors, you're gonna know the community as a whole is looking out for you. And I think it's a big, strong, positive review when it comes to that, because a lot of cities that I go to, I don't get that same feeling. A lot of people want to ignore you and even possibly even be rude. Oh my gosh. Iowa, we're not known for that. We are Iowa nice, and we try to help everybody that we possibly can, even if we don't know you fully. Now here in Iowa, it doesn't feel like it, but we do have opportunities for a lot of outdoor recreation, and it really is dependent on what part of the state you're in. Where I grew up in Western Iowa, we had a plenty amount of opportunity to get out. We have the Les Hills over there with public land that's available, a lot of fishing holes, a lot of places to hunt, and it's really, really cool to see that. But even in central Iowa and eastern Iowa, you have a lot of great places. In central Iowa, I really loved going to Ledges State Park when I was in school there. We would go, and it feels like a whole different area that you're not even in Iowa anymore, because you go down in this valley and it's just sheer walls of rock, which you don't see a lot of in Iowa because we do have a lot of cornfields. But I loved Ledges. In fact, that is where one of my best friends was made. To be honest with you, we were friends with his sister and him, and me and him didn't see eye to eye very much. But the funny thing is our friends left us there, not on accident, but kind of on accident, and we had to walk a long ways back before they came back and got us. and we had an opportunity to really bond over that. So I have fond memories of being outdoors with this gentleman, and it was a fun time, and it really made a great friend, and we're still friends to this day. So being outdoors in Iowa is a great opportunity. You can even make friends, as I did. And when it comes to jobs in Iowa, we have a lot of opportunity. Here in the Quad Cities and Cedar Rapids, there is plenty of manufacturing jobs. In fact, that's why I'm even located in the Quad Cities. To begin with, is I was a mechanical engineer. I got a job at Alcoa/Arconic now, and I loved it for 6 years. I did that job before I transitioned into real estate, and I liked what I did, but I loved more about the realtor job. But we have those kind of job opportunities. And when I was in Des Moines, I actually worked for an insurance company as an engineer for their systems, and didn't know this until I started working that job, but I was in the capital for insurance in the whole United States. That is Des Moines. And not only that, they have a lot of tech jobs, which a lot of people don't realize, that Iowa has a lot of tech jobs going for it. So you have opportunities here. Even if you don't have a job already, there are job opportunities all over the state. I can attest because I've worked a lot of different opportunities all over the state, and I liked them all. Now, I know it seems like Iowa is just all cornfields and nothing a whole lot else. Well, the truth of the matter is, it's a mixed bag. We have cornfields, we have cities, and if you're moving here, you're gonna wanna know which one is for you. Do you wanna live out in the rural areas? Do you wanna live in the cities? Well, to help you figure out where that best place is for you, hit me up. My number is popping up down below. I'll either help you or I will find somebody in this state to help you, depending on if you're moving to the Quad Cities or somewhere else. But in the meantime, check out this video where I go over the entire state and what it looks like.